Welcome back to Pretty Bakers. Today we are making a New York strip steak with a side of hash brown casserole and green beans.
That sounds really good. I can't wait to get started.
Let's get to it. Okay, so
First thing we want to do is go ahead and take our steak out of the fridge because it cooks so much better when it's at room temp. It's important that you towel dry your steak before cooking. Now while that sits there and rests and gets dry, we are going to start our potato casserole since it takes the longest to cook. And I'm going to wash my hands after I touch the steak. While our steak gets room temp, we're going to start on our potato casserole so it can be cooked in the oven. It takes a lot longer than the other two things in our meal. First, we're going to take a can of cream of chicken condensed soup and a can of cream of mushroom soup and 8 ounces of sour cream. There's just a half of this 16-ounce thing in here.
don't forget to preheat your oven to 375.
I didn't say that already. Okay. We also put 2 cups of sharp shredded cheese. You want to do that now? You get that. All right, just leave the cup. Just pour it. I do 2 big handfuls. And that usually equals a cup. A handful each is a cup. We eyeball a lot of our stuff. So now we're gonna mix this together. It's easier to start mixing your wet ingredients first. It doesn't matter what order you put these in because it's just a casserole. And casseroles are usually just a bunch of ingredients put together in a casserole dish and baked. So now we're gonna put the spices. I like to use garlic powder and onion powder. Onion powder makes a great alternative for those that don't like onions in their meal. It just adds the seasoning without the taste of the onion, like the chopped onion.
Right.
So I just give it a good sprinkling all over. And then I do the garlic powder, and I go a little bit lighter on the garlic powder than I do the onion powder. And then another thing that we like is the pepper. Love black pepper. But you can leave any of those off if you know for a fact that you don't like that certain spice. So now that we made it easy to mix our wet ingredients and be able to incorporate all those spices in our casserole, now it's time to pour the potatoes. Now, the hash browns I microwaved they're frozen, so I microwaved them for 4 minutes to get them just defrosted. And I don't worry about drying these in a hand towel because this is a casserole and it doesn't matter. And I pour these in the middle of my casserole. And a lot of people have trouble when they stir this because it makes a mess. It's a lot. But I found an easy way to stir this because I love potatoes. I make this all the time. I mash down into the mixture until they get good and sticky, and then that way they won't plop out of your pan when you start to stir really good.
So basically folding it into the mixture.
That's exactly right. Have you ever had somebody help you in the kitchen and they just start stirring and slinging it everywhere just like that? Okay, I think I got this incorporated really good.
Now that our oven is preheated, it's time to put it in the oven. How long do we do it for?
I'll tell you what, it definitely needs more than 30 minutes. I cook it for 45 minutes. Sometimes a little bit more. I just go by how it looks in the oven. If it's brown and bubbling, it is done.
Sounds good.
During this quarantine, we have on hand a bunch of canned vegetables. Now, of course, we prefer fresh vegetables, but there is a way to have excellent canned vegetables and it not taste canned. One of the tricks that Melanie and I like to do is take your cans of green beans and drain them and then rinse them out twice.
Now what you want to do is fill the pan with water just to where it's right above your beans.
Another trick to green beans to make them taste really good, if you don't have a ham bone or anything, is to use this jamon seasoning. You can find this in the Hispanic aisle. We use a couple of packs if we use 2 cans. So 2 packs of jamon seasoning, and we also salt it. We prefer our Himalayan pink salt.
Remember that as the beans cook, the salt cooks out of it. So you want to put a fair amount of salt.
Especially if you're going to drain it, you know, that salty water will drain off. Leaving you with an awesome flavor. Alright.
Let's get this on the eye.
Since we still have quite a bit of time for our potato casserole and steaks to get done, we can just put that on low and let that be warming up. Okay, now we're going to season our steak and get our pan screaming hot. No need to use olive oil because the steak's natural juices will just let it go off the pan once it's done on the side that you're doing. Did that make sense?
It did to me. I put up with this every day.
Well, thanks. Our favorite seasonings is to just keep it simple, salt and pepper. But you can do other things. So, once you put your steak in there, you don't want to flip it. You want to leave it alone for at least 5 to 7 minutes. Since your pan is scalding hot, you can turn it down just a little bit. Don't forget to salt and pepper the other side. Thanks, Melanie.
Anything for you.
Do I detect some sarcasm? Okay, so we're going to check and see if our steak's ready to turn, and I'm pretty sure I had it on too high. What you do is you lift up with a fork, and if it comes up easy, then it's definitely ready to flip. Oh, that's good.
Oh yeah.
Now, it's going to be medium on the middle. And it's going to have that yummy crust on the outside. Lots of flavor going on here. The second side, we're going to leave it on for about 5 minutes.
Now we're turning our beans on high.
Our steaks are done, and another critical part is to definitely put it on a cutting board and let it rest.
Why should we let it rest?
Well, your steak will get tough if you don't let it rest. Something about the muscles or whatever in it will relax after it cools. So you want to just let it rest for, at the very least, 5 minutes. And during this time, let me put my pen back up.
That sounds good.
Now, during the resting stage, we put butter on it. Get it all over. This is important. This makes it so tasty. You can also put a little bit underneath so it can be getting that good butter flavor. Some people do this in the pan and let it rest, but the pan is hot. I like to put mine on the cutting board if I'm in a hurry to eat. We're just getting that butter flavor all over. And another thing that I like to do, and my husband does as well, is we love to put blue cheese crumbles on our steak. Now, it's important not to use this if you are not a fan of strong cheeses. My kids, they don't like blue cheese, so we're just going to do one steak today. Another helpful tip is if you have very thick steaks. These are not thick, so I didn't need to do it, but if you have thick steaks, you can put your pan in the oven and bake these for a few minutes, like 7 minutes. That'll ensure that it won't be very rare in the middle if you don't like your steaks medium rare.
Now we're taking our potato casserole out.
We cooked it longer than we said. We like it nice and golden brown.
Now we're just cutting our steak now that it's rested.
Oh, that looks so good.
When it comes to cutting a steak, you want to cut it against the grain.